person we asked to speak this evening is Nick Binedell. So I have to tell a little story about Nick too, because I embarrassed Brant, but right at the beginning of the program, we knew that we needed an academic partner. And obviously there's no other business school like Gibbs, and I'm very open to with my admiration for this particular institution. So I wanted Gibbs to be our academic partner, and started to meet with Nick. And over the last 4 years, I've met with Nick probably more than I've met with anybody else. Kind of regularly, I just come, and then I just come for wisdom. And literally, I just come and spend, and he gives me 20 minutes, and I have 20 minutes of just filling my tank. So what, and I'm, again, very open with my admiration, because, you know, who knows how long we have to say that. So Nick, you've been an inspiration. One of the things you said, right, when I came back from the UK, you said on a stage somewhere, why can we not have every business be involved in one under-resourced school? And this was about, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. So you have to take some responsibility for what we are celebrating here tonight. And we want to just thank you for always being very, very welcoming to me and to us as an organization. And just your final thoughts on this evening.
Thanks, Louise, and good evening, everybody. It's been an extraordinary hour and a bit, hasn't it? You know, I think we've all come back from the holiday and read the papers and listened to what's going on around us. And if anything like me, it's a sort of totally schizophrenic environment. You look around the city and you wonder, this line of the world-class city, and then you drive around its suburbs and its townships and you wonder what that means. And then at the beginning of the year, as you begin to set your agenda, you come to an event like this, and I've been inspired by everybody, and by you, and Brunt paid great tribute to you, Louise. But engaging with Louise is a bit like walking into a whirlwind. She sort of comes and goes, and you wonder what happened. But what you know is what she is at the center of what Brunt said, an unbelievable passion. And I think we're in an era where each of us have got to go and look in that mirror. And we've got to go and look in that mirror and ask ourselves, what are we doing here? Why are we here? 15 years ago, a few of us set out to build this institution. And we've realized some of that dream, although there's much more to do. And we're very involved as a school in youth leadership. We run a program called the Spirit of Youth, which is now around the country, and we do careers work and so on. But this program has extraordinary features that I think are unique. But the question for all of us as we go into the year is, you know, so how are we going to exercise, those of us who are in business or in schools or in government, the kind of position we have to really make a difference? And one of the things that I thought about over the break was whether we've really figured out that we need each other. You know, I think when we look back on our history, South Africa is this remarkably complex country in which there's been so much suffering and pain and difficulty, in which I wonder whether we as people who lead institutions really understand how much we need each other, how much there is we can give each other. And what I've heard tonight, and again from my discussions with Louise and watching from a distance, is there's this extraordinary unmet potential, an extraordinary unmet humanity. And I know for myself, and you know, my hair's changed color slightly over the decades. As I look ahead to the next 10 or 15 years of work, I know it's that thing that makes South Africa so remarkably complex. You know, I just came back from 3 weeks in the States, and you land at ORT and you go through the process, and this incredible stretch of seeing things that you can't believe we're able to do, of violence and accidents and incompetence where there shouldn't be incompetence. And then on the other hand, you see these sparks of innovation. And I'm reminded so much of the 80s. And I just want to spend a minute reflecting on it. What happened then? Because I think somehow what has to happen now is what happened then. And what happened then is a large number of people said, we want something different soon. It started out with, we want it now, but I think as we were young then and foolish, and maybe we thought we could do this faster than we did. But it was an entire generation of people who collectively worked together to build something different. I don't know where you are on your sort of mapping of the terrain, but in many ways, and I'm talking personally now, I feel back in that era. If we as leaders in business, in government, and in education can't realize that none of us can go anywhere unless all of us can go somewhere, and that education, as has been said much more articulately than I can say, is the core of that thing. Now, the MEC talked about Gauteng being the center of the... He's absolutely right. It's the center of the center of the center. Let me give you the numbers quickly. Gauteng is 3% of the land mass of South Africa. It's 35% of the economy. It's 60% of the exports. It's 10% of the African economy. Gauteng. Down the road, 4 kilometers away, are 2 places next to each other that are so different it's hard to imagine, between Alex and Sandton. For the residents of Sandton, of which I'm one, Cape Town is closer than Alex. London is closer than Alex. But that can't be how it is in the next 5 or 10 years. And what I love about what you're doing with all your colleagues is closing that gap. So how can it be in a city with this wealth and capability that we can't actually realize how much we need each other? I'm so glad Ben Zander was referred to. He's spoken here a number of times. I don't know how many of you know Benjamin Zander. He's a conductor, an orchestra conductor in Boston. And some years ago, I took a group of MBAs there, and a new member of the Gibbs team had arranged a session, and suddenly I was sitting at the back, doodling actually, and there was this guy talking about the art of possibility. And I was so inspired by him that when I went up in the break, I said, you know, why have you agreed to do this for 30 MBA students? He said, for no charge. This guy charges hundreds of thousands of dollars when he gets paid to speak. He's an extraordinary individual. And he said, no, but of course I'd do this. And he's done it so many times at Gibbs and in Boston still for our MBAs. And he said, well, of course, because you gave the world Mandela. And, you know, I look around at the room and I look who's in the room, and I like all of you, I think, I'm just looking at this possibility. So, Louise, to you and all your colleagues, I just want to end by saying you have done an extraordinary job, but there are 25,000 schools, I think, is the number. So this is just scratching the surface. And if all of us calculate our own interests carefully, we'll know we need each other. Because that's what the story is in the 80s. What I learned in the 80s is, like Brunt was talking about the journeys he made, as we made the journeys into the territory of changing South Africa, what you discover is so many more of the answers rather than the problems. Because the problems here are a very long, serious strategic list. But the answers are just looking at, give people a room with a view, and we will change the world that way. So I'm delighted this event is being held here, and I'm happy if I can help to give you another cup of tea, Louise, and bless you. Thank you.